Howdy, welcome back to the guest room studio again. It's been a while since I've been working on the guitars here, but this project needs to get looked at because I really want to get this thing rewired and back to the school. This is the middle school guitar next door to my high school, and they use it for kids to get a little bit of a feel of how the electric guitar feels in music class. So the problem is, the switch selector kind of works in the bridge position, kind of works in middle, the neck is dead, and the other funny thing, well, there's a lot of stuff it needed. It had a loose neck screw back. I think it had two loose neck screws, like loose. But one of the tuners was about to fall off, and it was just a matter of tightening. I loosened all the strings, snugged things down, made sure they worked. So it should have much better tuning stability now. There was something else. Oh, the intonation of the bridge was completely unset intonation. I just roughed it in. You know, the best way to set intonation is really, I mean, the best way is with a nice tuner. But just to start, your full scale length, like 25.5 inches to here, and you adjust that. And then this one should be about 1/100 of an inch further, and this one's going to be about 2/100 of an inches further than that. This one's probably about set the same place where the B string is. Bring this one back about 3/100 of an inch. Bring this one back like 4 to 4/100 of an inch or so. And from each one, because it's the thickness of the strings that really affects intonation. A thicker string does not vibrate all the way back to the contact point. The rigidity of the string means it actually vibrates slightly out ahead of that point. And the same thing for where you fret. So intonation adjustments make up a little bit for the force of pressing the string down, but the way I understand it is even more important than that. The reason why it's different from string to string is because of the thickness of the string. So a skinny little string can vibrate very, very freely from one end, but you have a big string, it vibrates out further. Where that wave forms is out away from the contact point. Some crazy physics involved. I probably shouldn't talk anymore, I'll embarrass myself. But I know I used to think it was because of string tension. And actually on most string sets, the tension is fairly similar from string to string. You'll have a little bit less tension up here, a little more tension on the G string, usually a little less tension on the E string on most normal sets, unless you buy a balanced tension set. But on electric, I think they average, they're like somewhere around 17 pounds of tension per string. On an acoustic, there's somewhere around 20 or 21 pounds of tension. I mean, you got about 100 pounds pulling this way, 100 to 120 pounds, depending on the set of strings you want, and depending on how you tune it. But anyway, that's what intonation is for. So thicker strings need further intonation. If you're running a light top, heavy bottom set, that's a reason for sure to check your intonation. If it was set up with normal strings and you used to do something else, you do it that way. I'm going to run traditional strings here. So today's the day I'm going to finally yank this thing apart. I think the whole thing is pretty solid now. These strings are shot. I'm taking them off, and they're put in like dog meat up there. You can't. I mean, there's like a half a wrap on some of these tuners. It had zero tuning stability. They were slipping and doing ugly stuff. So here's my plan. Snipping the strings off. I marked 2 of the frets that are high with Sharpie marker. It's a little bit high here. It's a little bit high here. This fret is actually sprung a little bit, but I'm not gonna try to fasten it down. I'm just gonna bevel that off a little bit so that it's sprung a little bit, but it will still be playable. You know, when you fret these notes, they're fretting out on that. And also the nut, I believe, is cut a little bit too low. I'm not gonna make a new nut. I'm not gonna fill it with baking soda. I'm just going to take the slightly high first fret, and it's only high towards the bass and towards the top 2 treble. It's pretty good in the middle. So I think what I'm going to do is just gently, I'm not leveling the whole fretboard, I'm just going to gently take a crowning file till the Sharpie marker disappears, and then some light sandpaper to polish a little bit, and I might go ahead and hit all the frets with polish. It'll give the guitar a little more pizzazz if I polish them. I know a lot of 8th grade students just playing G, C, D, they're not going to care if the frets are polished, but I think when a kid picks up a guitar with polished frets, they'll be like, oh, that's nice. I'm also going to do a little more work on the edges here, because if they slide their hands, that's not comfortable. This guitar has and I've already done a little bit of beveling, but I'll do a little bit of dress up on the fret ends. Not a lot, but it needs it. It needs it there. So a couple frets to deal with. That'll make it play a little bit nicer. The setup is pretty decent. Once those frets are taken care of, like I said, the nut's going to be good. The truss rod's pretty good. The action and intonation, this is going to be good enough for music class. I just got the switch in the mail, and I've been procrastinating. I've had the switch for a while, but I'll snip all the strings. I'll take the pick guard off. I'm going to look and see if anything else weird is happening underneath here. I'm assuming it's all pretty good. I'm not going to stress about shielding or grounding or whatever. This bridge pickup sounds surprisingly good. When it works, it sounds surprisingly good, so I'm pretty stoked about that. It sounds great through some overdrive. It's a little fatter than a typical Strat bridge pickup would be. I kind of wonder if it's overwound a little bit. I might check the resistance once apart. The mid also sounds fat when it works, which is less often in the bridge. But the other crazy thing, and I went back and forth on this, these pickups are relatively microphonic, which I realized when I was playing this guitar through a pretty high gain pedal. Just moving the tone knob to the end of its travel I was hearing it through the guitar speaker, through the amp. And I started like tapping, and these pickups are like highly microphonic. And I don't know if that has to do with why they're a little bit warmer sounding than I would expect out of a super cheap guitar. I really can't say. I almost thought that I would put my made in Mexico cheap single coils in here and steal these and maybe slide the ceramic magnets out and put Alnico magnets in, and I don't think I'm going to do that. That would be a fun idea, and I know where this guitar will live. I might go back and do that next summer or something, but that's a project. Then I would need a home for those pickups, and I would have to buy a new guitar or a project body or something. So that's, long story short, I'm intrigued by these pickups. They sound better than I thought they should sound, and they're microphonic. I just think that's pretty cool. So there's a good chance, if this gets playable enough that it's decent, I might still go back to the middle school and steal it once in a while, bring it home and use it, or take it somewhere. It certainly, once it's fixed up a little bit, will be a good enough guitar to play if I have to do something at school and go jump into a music class. Other than all that, I'll clean the fretboard, I'll oil the fretboard. Again, that's not real rosewood. It's probably Pau Ferro or whatever they call it. And it all looks decent enough. It's in pretty good shape. It still has the plastic. It still has the coating on it. Has the sticker from the store on it. Fender G Vox Ready. I don't even know what that means. It was probably part of a package deal or something. But that's that. So today's the day I'm taking it apart. I just want to mention, while it's still together, some of the things I've noticed. Those pickups are crazy. A couple of frets are a little bit wacky. But this is not going to be a big month-long project. This is a couple days in and out. Hopefully the switch goes in and that cures all the gremlins that are occurring. I might even be able to make this switch work once it's apart. It might just be fix some solder, but I kind of think the switch is shot. I think somebody might have like hammered the switch sideways because of how loose it is, and just how in certain positions it won't sound, and then you just push on it and it does sound. So there's something inside where those contacts have been buggered up a little bit, that the contacts that the slider goes in and out of. But anyway, fixing a switch should be easy enough. A couple little things to solder, and the last little bit is I'm probably going to make one of these tone controls get double duty so that the bridge will have a tone control on it. I'm not doing anything else fancy to any of the wiring, but I do like a Strat with a tone control in the bridge. It would help the students if they're learning what a tone control does, that it works. Hey, this tone control works on all three pickups, or something like that. So I'll probably let one of these be neck and let one of these be bridge and middle or something like that. And add one wire in. I'll make that work. So anyway, this is way too long of an episode, but I'm intrigued by these pickups. Once it's all back together, I assume they will still be microphonic. When it's all back together and have strings on, it's worth tuning up and playing. I will see if I can catch the microphonic tendencies of this once it's all plugged back in. That'll be interesting, and like I said, I'm a little bit intrigued by it, by this $105 guitar or whatever it is. It was basically donated to the school. So that's that. Next time, maybe I have some action shots of doing the soldering or fixing the frets a little bit, but I don't know. I just wanted to kind of document a little bit of what I'm doing here. And again, this is stuff that if you have a cheaper made in, I don't even know where it's made in China, made Taiwan, Korea, wherever, and that doesn't have to be Squier, whatever. You have a cheaper guitar, it needs a little bit of help, or somebody gives you one for free, and you're like, boy, this would be fun, but it needs some stuff. Work on it. Find somebody who can teach you how to work on it, and then you can be proud of taking something and making it a little bit better there. That's probably it for now, though. Take care. I'll send some updates soon. Have a good one.